Good day everyone, we are the Group 2 and this is our final output for the subject, Community Engagement, Solidarity, and Citizenship. We will be tackling Unit 3, Chapter 1 and 2. For Chapter 1, Lesson 1, I will be discussing. Lesson 2 will be discussed by Mabeth Pagatpat. Chapter 2, Lesson 1 will be discussed by Dublin and Jenifer Larga. Lesson 2 will be discussed by Carlonjohn Bellasquina. Lesson 3 will be discussed by Dexter Mendoza. Lesson 4 will be discussed by Khiara Merino and Judy Ann Espellarga. Lastly, Lesson 5 will be discussed by Christian Matthew Ostia, Julius Ralar, and Jonathan David Ayuda. Lesson 1 is the principles and process in getting community information. This includes the principle in collecting community information and the process in collecting community information. So first is the principles in collecting community information. The key element in community action or development is an in-depth understanding of community. So, before tackling to the principles of community or the principles of community information, let us first talk about what is community profile. So, community profile is a comprehensive description of the needs of population that is defined or defines itself as a community and the resource that exists within the community carried out with active involvement of the community. So basically, a community profile is a set of data that includes and defines the population of your community. Naa din ang like profiles sa imuhang mga tao. Like for example, a particular community na ay 10 katawo na ang atilhang profile. Like for example, nga doon nakapuyo si Jenifer, nga doon nakapuyo si Carlon, si John Denver, na ang ato ilahang profile, naka-identify na do ang ilahang profile. That is the meaning of community profile. To be able to come up with more comprehensive community profile, researchers or community agents of change or community organizers have to investigate the different elements of community. Shikatopulo et al. Of 2001 suggested these following. So, mauni siya ang gisuggest sa katong study ni Shikatopulo et al. Na mauni kailangan para maka-identify ang community sa community profile or maka-identify sa mga persons na nasa community. The first suggested is the area as a place to live. Includes the quality of physical environment and the people's attitude to living there. So, the extent to which needs are matched with resources and the extent to which local facilities meet people's goals and aspirations. So, para makitaan or ma-include mo sa community profile, kailangan ma-identify na physically naa ka sa environment ngadto nga community na nagpuyo ka dito. Second is the area as social community. Includes residents' involvement in the social life of the community. Sociable ka na pagkatao, kailangan naa ka sa society muna para ma-appeal ka sa community profile. Alam naman na, for example, kaning naa ka din nagpuyo pero active ka sa lain na community, kailangan active ka sa community ninyo para appeal ka sa community profile. Next is the area as political community. Includes system and structure of political representation and local area management. The extent to which local people can influence decisions that can affect them. The degree of involvement in local decision-making, participation in community organization. This means that from the word local area, kanang maka-influence ka sa locally, maka-influence ka sa people around your community. maka-influence ka sa decision making na kay influence towards other people in your community. Next is the area as personal space. The degree of attachment that people have to the local area. Maka-determine kasi imuhang community profile pag naa kay mga life experiences or dugay na jud ka sa community kung asa ka, like dito na ka panganak, dito na ka nag-asawa, nagkauyaw, nagminyo ganon, na kay mga experiences, na kay mga memorable memories nito na community. So lastly is the area as part of its city. Infrastructural, economic, and social linkage between the local area and the city or district of which it is part. The specific local identity that differentiate the community from the rest of the area and the district. For example, mag-separate siya sa, for example, like, biliran. Nanaraman ka sa Naval, biliran na province, pero naka sa Naval na municipality. So, ngadto ka sa Naval nga community profile, mag-separate ka sa as a whole, kay naraman ka sa Naval na municipality. This following is will serve as reminders in understanding and appreciating our community or a particular community. The first is offsetting biases. This set an atmosphere of being relaxed. You are in that community because you want to know the community. Mura na nga particular community kay gusto ka mo unwind, then gusto ka sa atmosphere ana nga community kay ma-relax ka. Seek out what people, especially the poor, have to say. You are in that community to lecture or to impose what you know. Listen to the concern and priorities of the people and not yours. So, offsetting biases po, kaning murag naakahan nga community to spread your awareness, murag mag-lecture ka sa other people, then dili ra pud ka mo lecture pero mo-listen po ka sa ilahang concern, mo-listen ka sa concern sa laing tawo. Next is a reversal of learning. Change your perspective from being know-it-all to being a community leader. So, a reversal of learning, so reverse, magbaliktad ka sa imuhang paniniwala. So, a reversal of change from the word reversal, mo reverse ka sa imong mga paniniwala, imong alis doon ang imong paniniwala from know-it-all to being a community leader. Like, open-minded ka sa tanan na bagay, like, the process requires you to go to the site and get to know people and gain from the physical, technical, and social knowledge. Create a meaningful encounter with the people. Kanang tungod sa imong pag-encounter sa laing tawo, kanang ato sa laing community, murag malayo ni imong perspective, ma-reverse ang imong perspective, murag mulid na ka kaysa sa imong karang self. So next is learning rapidly and progressively. Involves conscious exploration of many possibilities in terms of methodologies and process. You must be flexible in your approach, be open to improvement and change your techniques as necessary. Do not be too strict in following a blueprint program. Apply a process that is appropriate and sensitive to community realities. Like, for example, na kay naka-plan nga buhaton, na kay naka-plan nga program, pero dili siya mo fit ana nga community. So, ang meaning sa local facilitating is kanang mo-open ka for changes, dili kay mo stick lang ka sa naka-plan kay dili man tanana. Ang imuhang gi-plan is mo fit ato nga community. So, next is local facilitating. Process of including the local or co-lead in the investigation, collection, consolidation, analysis, presentation, and learning of the data. You make the people part of the process from the beginning to end, from the conceptualization of the plan to its product and utility. Establish a process that people will embrace and own. Dili ka kaimuha lang, dili kay mag-solo lang ka, dili kay mag-individualism ka. You need to encounter kanang, like, kailangan, like, kung naa kay mga kauban sa community, imuha silang i-include every step of the way. Kailangan from the planning pangadto sa process sa inyong gibuhat. Kailangan naa kay kauban, naa kay co-leader, na from the start to the finish. Kailangan imong i-apil mo co-lead and naay mo co-lead sa imuha as a whole mo, dili kay mag-imasara. The fifth is self-critical awareness and responsibility. This refers to the continuing examination of behavior among the outsider facilitators. It entails a process of check and balance and learning from mistakes. Accept responsibility rather than sticking to a rigid set of rules. Like for example, pag magkamali ka, kailangan i-accept ni mo nga mali jud ka, di kay magpakuan-kuan ka pa na, ay, di man jud to tama, ay, tama man jud to, kay nasa rules, nasa kuan. Dili, kailangan mo accept ka sa imuhang mali, and then embrace it. Lastly is sharing informations and ideas. Establish a space for sharing of information and ideas between the people in the community and facilitators. As well as different facilitators, create a venue for dialogue. Kanang mag-share ka sa imuhang ideas para sa ilaha. Like, for example, kanang gusto ka maing-ani ang imuhang community, i-share nimo imong ideas, dili kay tago ra nimo sa imuhang self kay. For example, kanang idea nimo makapabetter day sa inyong community, tas wala niyo gi-share, so walay gamit. So kailangan jud mag-share kasi mo ideas, mo accept ka sa ideas sa uban para ganado ang quality sa inyong community, and kailangan pud maka-create mo venue of dialogue para magka-understand mo. Dili kay pag naa siya i-share mo supak ka, pag na i-share sila mo supak ka, mura mo magka-banggaay. So kailangan na mo venue of dialogue, na amoy peace and unity. So, kung naa sila, open ka for suggestions sa lain. So, the next topic of lesson 1 is the process in collecting community. Kaganina the principles, karon na pod is the process. Before delving into the process and methods used in collecting community information, you should understand the definition of community profiling. So, what is community profiling? So community profiling, a community profile should be sound, accurate, and relevant. Thus, the process of collecting the necessary data should observe ethical process and cultural standards and respect community values and principles. The notion of community profiling involves active community involvement. A profiling process fully supported by the key stakeholders in the community would result in more comprehensive community profile. Community profiling with the active participation of the community is empowering process as it will enhance the people's technical and analytical capacities. So, community profiling is kailangan accurate siya kaning kung unsay nakabutang dito, kailangan tinuod na auto. For example, kung si Jenifer birthday niya June, kailangan maudod to. Kung si Jenifer, anak ang community, taga-barangay Mangga, taga-Purok Ana, kailangan tinuod to. Kada accurate June. Di kay magpabutang-butang lang ka dito. So, kailangan sa community profile, accurate ang imuhang ibutang. Tapos, relevant. May aday sense ang mga nakabutang dito. Di kay magkabutang-butang lang ka dito. Si Jenifer kay kamikuan ka na taga-Mangga, tapos crush niya kayang kapitbahay lang. Dili ka, dapat dili na kailangan relevant. Kailangan may sense na imong ibutang dito sa imong community profile. So, thus the process of collecting necessary should observe ethical process. Kanang pag-collect nimo sa data, kailangan naibutang sa community profile nimo, kailangan na ay process. Like, for example, maghatag siya kaning file sa imo, tapos nga to ka mag-base like ID. Nato nimo kitaon kung tinuod ba yung gipang-ingon. Kailangan may process, ethical process.
Hello everyone, and my topic is all about practical community-based approaches to community profiling. This section shall focus on a method called participatory action research. What is participatory action research? It is the Center for Community Services through Cabeles, Abelardo, Aralit, and Valenzuela gives three related definitions of it which they gathered from organizations and people working with the basic sectors of the society. So, participatory research is an investigation of the problems and issues concerning the life and environment of the unprivileged people or the people that who are in needs. Next is the participatory action research. It is an approach to social investigation with the full and active participation of the community concerned within the research process. In this approach, needs, conditions, and problems are identified first, then appropriate solution based on the identified and prioritized needs are planned and implemented through a partnership between the community and concerned government or non-governmental organizations. According to Cabeles et al. 1994, there are two important phases in collecting information using the PAR method. These are the preparatory phase and the research phase. Under the preparatory phase, there are three. First is the preliminary community profiling. This activity aims to obtain a basic knowledge and understanding of the situation of the community, which will inform and facilitate organizers' entry to the community. Second is the entry and integration into the community. This activity also aims to deepen your knowledge of the community. Next is the community consultation. This activity introduces the community organizer to the members of the community. And this also will draw out your perceptions. Next is the research phase. There are 7. First is the training of the training committee. This activity aims to provide the committee with the basic skills, knowledge, and orientation that they need for the research. Next is pre-testing the data gathering tools. Here, they will make a pilot testing to the random people. Next is the actual gathering of data. Here, you will gather your needed information and data. Next is the consolidation of the data. Here you will organize the gathered data. Fifth is the analysis of data. This activity aims to identify each Cses problems in the community using the research findings. Sixth is the preparation of the data. This activity aims to identify creative and popular or alternative ways of presenting the results. The last one is the community consultation and the data presentation. This activity aims to share the results of the research with the community. And that's all. Thank you.
Topic for today is Lesson 1, Community Organizing. So now, let's proceed to our community organizing definition, steps, and role. Community organizing is the form and process of building a group of people who have a common vision and goal and who engage in community. From the perspective of community development, CO is about power. Community organizers help make the people realize the power of collective actions, which starts from identifying common problems in the community. Defending and addressing the problems together, mobilizing resources as a collective and sustaining community action as one body. And it has to be said that community organization is different from social movements. Community organizing is like forming and building an organization with people that have the same vision and goals. Community organizing is also about power, having the power to lead the community and having the power to do the actions to lead the community. It is also the process to organize, consolidate, develop, and sustain the forces of the people in the particular community. Community organizers also help people or also help to make the people realize the power of the community. There are 7 steps in community organizing. First, we have entry in the community. Entry to a particular community means you have done the necessary participations like gathering basic information about political, economic, cultural, and ecological condition in that area. So, based on entry of the community, you have to socialize the other groups or you have a necessary participation in each groups. So, number 2 is integration with the people. The most difficult stage is the integration part of the process. So, the meaning of this is if you have a difficult stage, you have to interact or you have a process or you can socialize with other people. So, number 3 is community study or situation analysis. Based on the data that the community organizers have gathered, they will review the preliminary data and enhance analysis based on the new data. So the community study is about what you gather or like you have kanang nag-collect ka then kanang you have to analysis those kanaang imong na-collect or something ana. So next is number 4, identifying and developing potential community while integrating and discussing social issues. I think is more on kuan siya like kanaang about siya sa kanaang society like kanaang mga social issue or something di ana nga nahitabo sa atong community. So next, number 5 is core group formation. The CO will form a group comprising of potential leaders. This core group formation is like kanaang you have a group of people, then kanaang each group have a leader to comprising or to collab those ideas on each member. Next, number 6 is setting up the organization. Once the organization is set up, structures will be formed, organizational leaders will be elected, and necessary policies will be established. So, in this case, there na siya yung mga division about the groups. So, di ba, each groups is na siya yung mga group leaders, then they also have a members. So, each groups na siya yung mga policies, na siya yung mga different kinds of policies, and naila dapat ma-establish or ilang mahatag in the society or in the community. 7. Strengthening the organization. In ensuring sustainability, there will be a continuous human resource development policy refinement and development of organizational programs that will help strengthen the organization. So in this case, we have the human resource, or as we can say, like ang members nga mo develop di anang organizations, like the task of that is the group leader to organize those
And now we tackle about the role of community organizing. Community organizing is context sensitive. The start and the notion of community organizing definitely vary from one context to the other. There are a number of models out there, but there are 3 practices that may be referred to as major orientation. So, ang community development rather, is nag-modify siya sa humans' attitudes and behavioral patterns through education, advices, and strategy.
Paulo first, social consciousness focused on the conscientization process. Conscientization is a process of developing the people's critical awareness of their situation in relation to bigger social realities and their own capacity to transform realities. Freer's principles include the following. We have education. Is neutral or unpolitical. It domesticates so many situations by imposing the value and culture of the dominant class or liberties of the people. So, education is very important to us talaga. Kung edukado ka na tao, marag respect sila, nasa lagagi sa imo ka, and iya makaada ka o work na ano. And second is, issues must have importance of the people. People will act on issues that are important to them. So it means ang issues kay sa mga kung reflect sa mga tao mo act sila ato, like murag na sila murag na feel something about it na issues about the ila mo na sila i-give feedback about it. And the next is the problem posing approach. The whole education and development process is viewed as a common search for solution to problems with the people as partner or active participant in all phases of problem solving. So it means about ni siya sa unsa uling pag-handle, pag-approach and pag-solve sa problem. And the fourth is dialogue. Education must be a mutual learning process where people can share experience, listen and learn from each other. So in order to learn, we need to listen and to learn the experience of others. So it means na kailangan nato maminaw and mag-learn sa mga giingon sa uban. Number 5, reflection and action. A community organizer or animator can provide a situation in which people critically reflect upon what they are doing. So buot pa sabot ani mag-reflect ka sa situation sa ubang tao kung unsang ilang gipangbuhat. Unsang ilang mga action ato. The last is radical transformation of life in the school communities and the whole society. A conscientizing. And the last is radical transformation of life in the local communities and the whole society. A conscientizing type of education aims to involve the whole communities in actively transforming the quality of each person's life. So as what I said earlier, education is very important to us because if you have an education, you have a power and you nasay ma-change sa imuhang life, ma-transform in a good quality ang imuhang life.
My topic for today is Lesson 2, Partnership Building. Partnership Development, Definition, and Steps and Roles. As a member of a community and a larger society, we live in association with others. We cannot do things alone, we need others to get things done. No man is an island. Dili ta maka himuan kung dili ta magpatabang bali makig-socialize ta sa uban. Partnership is a vibrant relationship among diverse players. It's grounded on a mutually agreed goals and carried out through a shared understanding of the most rational division of work based on the respective comparative strength of each other. The term partnership is defined differently by various authors. However, we can derive common principles. Capture these values in their attempt to indicate the principle of partnership, which are trust, mutuality, solidarity, and accountability. Trust. This principle is a foundation of any partnership. So, kailangan tawag trust para mas dako ang foundation in yung relationship. Number 2, mutuality. This principle entails reciprocity, respect, and dialogue. Mutual understanding each other. Number 3, solidarity. This principle promotes compassion for the marginalized, the disadvantaged, and the poor. This principle is about rights and obligation. So, take dakong obligation para sa and rights para sa partner. Steps in partnership building. Partnership building is a long process. It necessitates recognition and acceptance of each other's partner, assets, and flaws. Step 1. Scoping and building. These steps comprise 4 activities: scoping, identifying, building, and planning. Scoping. Understanding the challenge and gathering information. Identifying. Identifying potential partners and securing involvement. Building. Planning. The partner's planning of activities and outlining of projects. Basically, this step is building partnership towards each other. Managing and maintaining. This step includes managing, resourcing, and implementing. Managing. Explore the structures and manage of their partnership. Resourcing. The partners identify and mobilize and non-cash. Implementing. Pre-agreed timetable and project details and deliverables. These steps focuses in maintaining and managing your partnership. Step 3. Reviewing and revising. Comprised of measuring performance, reviewing, and revising. Measuring performance, where outputs and outcomes are measured. Reviewing, the period where you review the partnership. Revising, partnership programs and projects are revised based on achievement and conceptual changes. Steps focuses on revising and reviewing your output to your partnership. Step 4, sustaining the outcome. These steps include the following: institutionalizing, then appropriate structure and mechanism and resourcement. Sustaining or terminating. Time where you decide whether to sustain or conclude the partnership. These steps is the outcome of your partnership, whether you decide to stop or to continue your partnership.
Today is lesson 3, development of community leaders. Community leadership development. One of the main functions of community organizing is the formation of local community or community leaders. The community organizers are outsiders who enter a community with the objective to help facilitate the empowerment process of the community. This community change agents, however, are not permanent in the community. Their presence is temporary, thus it is vital to develop community leaders. Community leaders are permanent or regular residents of a particular community who takes responsibility for the well-being and improvement of the community toolbox. 2015, there are born community leaders, but without social orientation, it is the responsibility of the community organizers to spot, train, and develop these leaders. Community leadership development means creating and developing the leaders of an organization or the community leaders. Community leaders should also know how to lead and how to manage a particular organization and a community. Community leaders should be a permanent or regular resident of the particular community. He or she will take responsibility too. Because if you are already a resident of that particular community, you know how to manage and you know what are the changes that you may apply in the community. You need to be a resident in that community so that you can read the community even better. It is the responsibility of the community organizers to organize, train, and develop these leaders. Steps in developing a community leader. Step 1. Spotting of a potential community leader. Step 2. Awareness building and consensation. Step 3. Core group formation and development. Step 4. Formation of the organization. Step 5. Functioning leader. Step 6. Leadership advancement and successor leadership programs. Leaders and community action. In order to sustain community action, community leaders must be indigenous or members of the community. Community leaders are performing a key role in the development and success of the community. They represent the sentiments and concerns of the community. They are the voice of the community. They serve as community facilitators and sometimes even conflict managers. Community leaders and community actions. As I said earlier, you need to be an indigent resident of that community before being a community leader, because community leaders perform a key role in the development and success of the community. The community you are living will not be successful if you do not know how to the community works, because you do not live there. You are not a resident of that community. Another thing is that in order to be a good community leader, you also need to listen the words or the needs of the people. As a community leader, you must not close your ears for the people. You must listen, understand them, because listening to them may help for the growth of the community and the development of the community.
Hello everyone, the topic that I will be discussing is all about participatory action planning. So, what is participatory action planning? So, it is a process where a community embarks on a project to attain a given socioeconomic goal by consciously diagnosing its problem and charting a course of action to resolve those problems. So, participatory planning kay importante jud siya in building trust sa imuha og sa organizations nga imong giapilan or sa community ug sa uban pa nga individual nga involved. Kay ang trust jud kay nag-serve nga foundation sa future sa usa ka community nga mo-develop og mo-take og action ang usa't usa. So, kung may trust issue mo, di jud mo ma-develop ang inyong community o di jud mo take og action ang bawat members. Kay kung appeal ka or kita sa usa ka community or organizations, mo involve jud ta sa usa kung unsa ang plano dapat ipa-feel jud nato ang kung kuan kanang abilong ta mutabang ta kung unsay matabang nato sa atong community or organization. Ingana ang participatory planning, they are more likely to take action when they see a problem or an opportunity rather than assume it's someone else's responsibility. The planning content is not just specific to a community economic goals but to the political and cultural aspects as well. So, ang planning content daw di lang daw gi-specify sa community but appeal pod ang political o cultural, kay ang participatory planning is part sa decentralization. So, when we say decentralization, it is the transfer of power or authority gikan sa central or state government to the local level government. So, there are identified importance principles in participatory action planning, which are briefly described below. First, develop should be seen more as a change from the bottom up rather than from the top down. So, dapat ang change daw dila daw pirmi sa mga government at ngadto sa mga taas, dapat daw magsugod daw sa local government ngari sa atoa. Second is the development process should be managed as a natural organic process rather than according to plans, goals, objectives, targets, and schedules. So, dapat flexible jud ta sa development. Kay ang plans, goals, target, ug schedule kay may chance man good na ma-change og ang timing tentative ra. So, we should make a room for adaptation sa local conditions. Number 3, development programs should aim to strengthen local organizations and not state and central government bureaucracy. So, ingon ari ka na dapat jud mas strengthen ang local organizations dili lang ngadto sa state sa central government. Dapat pod kanang maipakita sa local organizations ang ilang capabilities to develop and grow. 4, the development process is supported by local institutions with village or councils, primary cooperatives, the religious youth, community-based users, and help groups playing a lead role. So, ang development process is nagsugod siya sa local institutions ang support para pod maipakita nila kung unsa pa ang dapat ma-develop nila sa local institutions. And number 5, it follows from the above that the development process must be based primarily on confidence and learning rather than on experts and training. So, ang development daw dapat nagsugod sa atwa rather than sa experts and training. So, dapat di jud ta magsalig sa uban nato kung unsa atong mahimo nga development through ani maipakita nato sa ila kung unsa ang kaya sa local community. The role of participatory action planning. So, the people inputs both in the content and process are strategic in the development of community action. The feasibility, accuracy, and relevance of a community plan depend on the participations of the people. So, it is important to capture the people's voice as it will lead to a community action that is embraced and owned by the people. So, there are 7 or 8 steps in participatory planning. First, identify local needs, particularly of poor rural families. So, the best way to find out what people need and what they see as possible solutions to their problems is to ask them. So, we should ask them kung unsa may ilang needs. And the second steps is collect basic data. So, this is the very important in planning in participatory. And the third steps is form working groups. So, we should form a group in participatory planning. And the fourth is formulate objectives. So, what are our objectives in planning? And the fifth, decide on a strategy. And the sixth, ensure feasibility. 7, prepare the work plan. And lastly, prepare the budget. So, the money is important part in participatory planning.
We also have here the participatory planning operational steps. We have 7 steps in the implementation of local development projects. Number 1, appointing a project coordinator. Of course, in planning, we need a coordinator that have leadership qualities to become our project successful. Number 2, setting up a project implementation and monitoring committee. These are the people who supervise implementation on a day-to-day basis. Number 3, staff training. Of course, all the projects that are planning to build, they need to orient first the staff on what to do in order to make a good work. Number 4, transparency. This is important for retaining community interest and support the project to ensure a smooth progress. Example ani is ang project details, budget, and sources of funds, that's important, can be displayed publicly at different places in the project area. Number 5, anticipating obstacles. The project coordinator should aware of likely difficulties to able to anticipate obstacles and take prevention action. Advanced action is needed to ensure timely availability of workers, especially technical people. Plans should be ready to deal with an contingency. Number 6, the timely release of funds. That's one of the important sa kung maghimo og usa ka projects ang example ang government. Number 6 is timely release of funds, where we need to follow the timely release of funds of a project for the smooth progress also. Number 7, monitoring. This is important for timely and proper project implementation. Monitoring provides feedback so that necessary adjustment can be made in the work plan and budget. Therefore, monitoring schedules are often based on the project work plan, so we need to make a work plan. It is essentially a tool that helps both project implementing and funding agencies. So, helpful jud siya kayo. 7.1, monitoring parameters, which is maghimog table, tapos nga to ang time schedule, cost, and process. These are already specified in the work plan. Monitoring reports must be reviewed by the Project Implementation Committee, focusing on information about delays, the extent and implication needed, corrective action, and the person or agencies responsible for it. 7.2, periodic monitoring format. So, ada po format para ato. 7.3, integrity. It is important for the implementing agency to maintain a high level of financial credibility, which is closely watched by funding agencies. So, if you plan to make example, a company, so kailangan jud siya may enough nga funds para ato.
Our topic is Lesson 5, Resource Mobilization. Management and Development. The organizational management and development includes establishing and strengthening the organization for the resource mobilization process. It involves two things: identifying the organization's vision, mission, and goals, putting in place internal systems and processes that enable the resource mobilization effort. Resource mobilization is just a means to the end. Resource mobilization is a team effort and involves the institution. Commitment to resource mobilization. The responsibility for the resource mobilization effort is shared by the board. An organization needs money in order to raise money. There are no quick fixes in resource mobilization.
This means that in order to manage and develop a good community, he needs to establish your vision, mission, as well as your goals. You need to organize your roles as well as the roles of the board and the staff, creating strategic planning and implementing it.
And communicating and prospecting. This phase is another challenging part of resource mobilization. It aims to ensure that there is no long-term sustainability of organizational resource by determining new donors and
On communicating and prospecting, this means that you need to sustain a long-term continuous beneficiaries or donor support comes as a result of relationship and not as the goal in end of itself.
constituency base. On relationship building, identification and mapping of donors, the next step is to court them through A. Getting to know you process. B. Getting closer to you practice. C. Getting to know you better course. This leads to the development of relationship from acquaintance to confidential.
On relationship building, this means after mapping the donors, you need to do a process such as getting to know you process. This process is like getting to know the person even more. Next step is getting closer to you practice. This step is practicing to get closer, even closer to the person, and the last step is getting to know you better course. After knowing and getting closer to the person, you need to understand better the person, know the person more. This step will lead to development of your relationship. Building good relationship will help create, maintain, and expand your relationship with your donors. Relationship building means bringing the prospect to closer relationship, getting closer to the donors or to the person.
Resource mobilization and community action is critical to any organization because of these following. First, it ensures the continuation of organization's service provision to clients, meaning dili magputol-putol ang ilang paghatag o help in terms of financial aspect. Also, it supports organizational sustainability. It also allows for improvement and scale-up products and services that organization currently provides. And lastly, organizations both in the public and private sector must be in the business of generating new business, of generating to stay in business. But pasabot dili sila pwede mawala sa ilang ilang in line sa in terms sa mga businesses nga kuan aspect. Next is one of the fundamental concerns of the organizations is resource mobilization. Ang example ani is programmatic sustainability delivers products and services that responds to client needs. Meaning kung unsay gipangayo sa ilang mga client is ilang ma-provide dayon, dili sila mag-sobra o dili sila magkuwang. Next, institutional sustainability has a strong yet flexible structure and accountable, transparent governance practices. Lastly, financial sustainability. It draws on various sources of revenue, allowing it to support its ongoing efforts and to undertake new initiatives. Thank you.
So that is the end of our report. I hope you guys learned something from the different topics and from the different lessons discussed by our members and especially from yours truly. Our quiz will be distributed through online. It is through Google Forms, but it is a 15 item quiz. I hope you will answer it accordingly. I hope you guys learned something in the subject community engagement, solidarity, and citizenship that you may apply in your daily lives as well as in college. That is all, and thank you, Senior High School. From the Group 2 members, thank you and God bless.
Thank you.